Today on DIY Around the Home, we'll share the process we undertook to build raised garden beds with a drip irrigation system for under $40 a bed. Before we jump into our build, we wanted to share a couple prefab products on the market to show the cost difference between these popular alternatives and doing it all by yourself. This side-by-side comparison shows how you can save nearly 80% when you purchase the materials, cut them to size, and screw them together yourself. Before we get into the details of this project, here are the timestamps of the major sections of this video in case you want to jump forward or back to different areas. The area in our side yard that we had to work with is about 30 feet roughly by 3 feet deep. The goal is to maximize the space but not sacrifice ease of use. We ended up building 4 beds, 6 feet in length, with about 6 to 8 inches in between each bed, so you could step in between. This made working the back half of the beds much easier. We have existing drip irrigation lines running in this area that we wanted to repurpose, so we dug them out and cut the ends. The plan is to move these above ground so we could run small drip lines to each plant. We'll cover this in more detail later in the video, as well as a much better tool than what you're seeing in this video clip for cutting drip line. One of the main ways to cut down on material costs is to use thinner wood. We used cedar fence pickets that are 5.5 inches by 6 feet. If you stack 2 on top of each other, that makes an 11-inch deep bed, and you only need 6 total pieces. 2 for the front, 2 on the back, and then 2 cut in half and used for the sides. You can then use 2x4s or other similar sized wood to join and strengthen the frames. Because we used the full slats for the front and back of the beds, we only had to make a few cuts for the sides and for the internal bracing. For cutting the wood, a miter saw is the tool of choice. We used 2-inch exterior wood screws that cost about $8 for a box large enough to do the entire project. We cut a 2x4 into 11-inch tall pieces and used them in the middle of the 6-foot lengths as well as on the corners. Once the front and back were assembled, it was time to fasten them to the 3-foot sides. It's helpful to have another set of hands to help line up and hold the wood as you screw everything together, but not necessary. I also found that drilling pilot holes wasn't needed either. At this point, it's a matter of adding 4 screws on each end for a total of 8 screws going into the corner bracing. It's important to line up the entry of the 8 screws at different heights so they don't hit into each other. With the frames built, we needed to find a high quality soil. Our previous attempt at gardening in this area was unsuccessful due to the compact clay soil native to our area. We knew we needed to bring in something of higher quality. But first we needed to know how much soil we needed. We used a popular landscape calculator that will be linked below, and that helped us find out how much soil we needed for the 4 beds. Once we knew we needed 66 cubic feet or 2.4 yards worth of soil, we were able to shop around the big box stores and local nurseries. Quickly though, we realized the bagged products didn't make much sense for our budget. Our local nursery recommended a landscape center that specialized in gravel, stone, and a variety of topsoils. We ended up purchasing their sandy loam blend, a mixture of screened topsoil, compost, and sand that would help with drainage. First, we dug out the existing 3 drip lines. Next, we cut each end, then cleaned the area and zip-tied sandwich bags to keep the dirt from getting into the remaining installed drip lines. Then we filled in the dug-up dirt to create a level base for the raised garden bed frames. After moving the frames into position, we began filling them with dirt. As we filled in the dirt, we paid attention to level the frames. When it was off, we would add small rocks and dirt under the part that was sitting low. It's worthwhile to measure each bed against the one next to it. It's also worthwhile to measure from front to back and check level from side to side, left to right. The plan is to possibly buy more soil after the growing season, as we expect to see some settling occur. But before we plant, it's time to set up the drip irrigation system. We purchased heavy-duty 1/2-inch drip tubing. We cut it into 3 lengths, nailed each end to a wood board, and let it sit out in the sun to warm up and uncoil itself so it'd be easier to work with as we hung it across the masonry wall. We decided to run the tubing along the wall to make it accessible for future changes. We used concrete screws that came with a special masonry drill bit. A hammer drill is the ideal tool here, but given I rarely needed one, I didn't feel it was worth it. and instead slugged it out with the wall using my normal drill. With the metal guides now installed, it's time to take the drip line that has been straightened out in the sun and run it through into its final resting place. This tool works great, by the way. Really clean, straight cut. Because these 3 lines are on different sprinkler zones, we chose to place green zip ties on the line connecting to the green stripe tube and white zip ties to the tubing that would be connected to the white striped irrigation tube. With the zip tying complete and the support bands all installed, it was now ready to make the final connections for the 90-degree elbows. Nice tip. Have some soft padding with a piece of wood underneath it to kneel on. Makes working in the area a lot more enjoyable. As you can see, there's a lot of mud, so you gotta clean those up. And another tip is to leave these out in the sun. It warms up the rubber, makes it a lot more, plastic, whatever the material is, makes it a lot more possible to get it into the different fittings. Okay, so at this point, taking an elbow, take the tape off now or later, doesn't matter, but get the elbow. We then proceeded to cut the individual pieces to their own specific length. So this one needs to go about here. So that means we don't cut it here, we cut it here. So I'm gonna go ahead and... Again, I can't stress enough just how important it is to let these pieces all sit in the warm sun to soften up. Doing this on a cold day would be a losing battle, really. Again, just being really careful not to get junk in here. This piece is going to come to about right here. And here's the completed project with all 3 lines connected. We did the same thing on the other side. We'll just skip that footage. The last and funnest part of the project is planting and running the last of the drip system to the desired area. This tool also has a section that is meant to cut holes so you can run 1/4 inch drip line, which allows you to then set up specific drip emitters at the location of each plant. At the end of this 1/4 inch drip line is a 1/4 inch barb connector, and what that does is it pierces into the body of the hole in the 1/2 inch drip line and allows the water to go from the 1/2 inch pipe tubing to the 1/4 inch pipe tubing, which then goes to your drip emitter. In this bed there are a number of micro bubblers which tend to shoot water kind of like a sprinkler in small amounts. While in this bed we have a combination of micro bubblers and drip emitters, which provide a more targeted, exact spot for the water to be dispersed upon. This bubbler is watering 2 to 3 rows of carrot seeds, whereas this drip emitter is watering 1 blackberry bush. Here are the line-by-line costs for us to complete the raised garden bed project. It's important to note that some items such as the drip emitters were reused from our previous failed garden. Also, I used tools that were previously purchased, so if you have a lot less to start with, your project cost might vary. Hopefully your local soil is worth using and you can pick up free dirt to use. That would be a big way to cut down on cost. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any feedback or questions, feel free to post below. If If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see other ways in which you can save money around your home, subscribe to our channel. Thank you.